I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dimitris Kasimis. I'm an ACCA qualified chartered accountant, and I've spent most of my career consulting and advising at some of the largest practice firms, to name a few: Ernst & Young and Grant Thornton. I joined as a client service partner at QX Accountancy Services, which means I look after the growth and success of more than 400 accounting firms. I'd like to note that I'm not doing this by myself. I have colleagues that I'm happy for, grateful that they helped me service these 400 plus accounting firms. With my colleagues, we try to advise them on the most cost-effective means to find the right people, set up the right processes, and build the right platforms without making concessions to quality, of course. As a professional who's been on both ends of the busy season, the topic of wrapping up the tax season on time is near and dear. I've had both the firsthand experience of dealing with tax returns piling up on my desk, and now I advise accountants on how they can deal with incoming workload and the resource crunch that they could deal with during the tax season. And hopefully they could use the right people, tools, and some cost-friendly last-minute options to deal with this tax season that I'm hoping that I can provide. So I'll go to the next slide here. Hopefully it's fast enough. We're on slide 3 there. Why is January a January like no other? Most of last year was like no other. And surprise, surprise, like I mentioned, this past Christmas was no different. So fun fact 1 is HMRC recorded 25th of December as the peak day of the year for completing taxes. 20,000 tax returns were filed between Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. But as we approach the 31st of January deadline, there's more than just the workload that builds up. Without a proper vacation, break, long-term effects of being stuck at home and working remotely could result in a dip in team morale and cause fatigue. You could also face collaboration inefficiencies. Some of you might be reworking your processes and software currently. This January might be equally hard for your clients that may be struggling during these unprecedented times. Think of their businesses. They might be near bankruptcy, they might be bankrupt. All of this just adds to the existing pressure of completing tax returns on time. Apart from this, your business support measures that began in spring are either ending or evolving. Every accountant will face different challenges depending on their location, of course. In short, all signs are leading to this busy season being one of the worst. So let's go to the next slide with that being said. What challenges lie ahead? One of the interesting things that happened a day before January 31st deadline back in 2018 at QXAS was we started getting calls and requests from accounting firms across the UK to help with their tax returns. They said that they hadn't anticipated so many last-minute clients, and many of their in-house team members were already inundated with work from the busy season. Often, the key to coping will be understanding the challenges ahead and having a strategy in place sooner rather than later, even if it's a last-minute measure. As we go through the challenges, and I'll go through them in just a second, I'm sure you'll find some that you recognize. So just to name a few: tight timelines, last-minute clients, getting records from clients on time, reduced team strength, reaching out to HMRC over calls, out-of-office clients, and cybersecurity demands. So that's a good segue to the next slide here. Now that we've looked at the challenges, which there are plenty of, let's look at ways that we can combat and overcome them, even at the last minute. I like to call it the 11th hour strategy for your firm to wrap up the tax season on time, hopefully. And we've broken the solutions down into 3 main areas: people, process, and platform. I like to call them the 3 Ps. Let's go to the next slide. The biggest asset and the first P to any practice is its people. Working through a pandemic has already been exceptionally hard on everyone and tough on mental health. This is something to be mindful of approaching busy season for yourself, colleagues, and clients. Self-compassion and support for others will go a long way. So let's tackle these points. Plan the incoming workload in Jan. If you're anticipating late clients, make sure you've got a last-minute plan ready. Either you, A, outsource the work, B, manage it in-house, or C, just reject it. You can't take it on. Second point, gather all your data in one go. Working patterns have shifted, and you will need clients to access and share documentation, even if working from home. If they're yet to return from vacation or in local lockdowns, this will be a problem. The more notice about what you need and what is missing will be crucial. I'm going to share at the end of this a link with everyone that I've shared with clients that we have, and they've gotten value from it, and I hope it'll give you some value as well. So I'll share this self-assessment tax return checklist that we have at the end. So please watch out for that. Next point is get more hands on deck. If your practice has staff on furlough, bring them back. Extra pair of hands could enable you to get through the work in a timely manner and put the practice in a strong position going forward. Trying to manage an increased workload with a smaller than normal team and clients potentially also in a state of flux is most likely going to lead to all parties having a painful experience. If you feel that temporary staff members might not be a cost-effective route, go for outsourcing. It's cost-effective, it will guarantee fast turnaround, deliver quality and accuracy in processing the returns you have. Next point is keep up your staff's morale. It's important to keep up with your staff. Keep a close eye on how they're coping with their workload and how they're dealing with their personal issues in the pandemic. Everyone's going through their own personal demons. Just monitor that. Plan one-to-one meetings. Have engagement activities to keep up the motivation within your team during the peak season. Lastly, take frequent breaks. If you're working from home, which most people are, set a routine that includes proper breaks and finishing for the day. Constant access to technology can become an excuse for never-ending work days. And I say last point, but there is one point that I'd like to address that's not on this slide, and that's just to take care of yourself. The prospect of further lockdowns is real. There will be further pressure on working parents if schools remain shut, and illnesses, even the standard winter cold and flu season. This adds extra strain on people and their capacity to focus on work. My sister, through personal experience, has children aging from 3 to 7. She's now asked to be a parent, full-time worker, but now she's also a teacher. So everyone's going through their own issues. Be mindful, take the time, just focus on yourself. That's also important. So let's go on to the next slide here and talk about the next P. The second P that will support you in the last few weeks are your processes. So hence, why processes are game changers for a work from home tax season. And I'd like to talk about the points here. Prepare a tax summary and tag documents for easy review. The less time you spend on review, obviously, the more time you have for work. Second point is create a template for communication. It will help you cut down on time, something that you have very limited amounts of during the tax season. Automate the process for requesting information. Use your practice management software to send automated reminders to keep on track of your work. This way, you'll be able to assess the work that has been completed, as well as know what's pending, so you have a holistic view. The fourth point is use digital signatures to get tax returns signed off. Simply put, this works. You're going to get way more sign-offs when using a DocuSign or any digital signature tool for that matter, instead of the good old, sign and scan. Besides, you won't have to be near a scanner to send your approval every time, and you will have a lot of these needed. So make sure you have that. And that's the second P. Now let's move on to the third P, which is platform. The platform is third P. During the pandemic, we've all been forced to rely on more digital tools. be it software, video calls, cloud storage, and amongst others. I think the majority of us would agree that this is not a bad thing. In these last few weeks of tax season, your tax software will make or break the season. So make sure you're using good software. And let's tackle these points. Use your tax software to your advantage. Integrate your processes with your software for speeding up the processing of the returns. Create surveys in the form of questionnaires. A lot of our clients would create special checklists or questionnaires to help in data collection. Gather information in one go, or directly feed in your questionnaire to your tax software instead. Get maximum benefit of your tax software. Make sure that you have sufficient users to manage the volume. There's always last minute requirement, so negotiate users with your software provider well in advance to get maximum benefit. That's key. The last point is taking advantage of your outsourcing provider, and I think the most important. If you have an outsourcing provider with a global reach, take advantage of their time difference, their zones that they're operating. When it's morning here in the UK, you can use your in-house team. Yeah. While in the night hours, your outsourcing provider can share the same license and use it. This way, your tax returns will be processed around the clock. And that concludes the 3 Ps. Now, the next slide is a recommendation from us, which I'd like to recommend some platforms. So if you're looking for an ideal rush season tech stack, here are some platforms we highly recommend for these last few remaining weeks. Our clients have benefited from concoction of Xero, QuickBooks, TaxCalc, and Practice Ignition. So these are definitely ones that I can recommend. And if you're currently using any of these platforms and you'd like more advice as to how to get max value, I'm open, my colleagues are open to have a free consultation. So please feel free to get back to us on the chat and I'll reach out to you or my colleagues will, just to help you get max value from these. Or if you're looking to have a new platform that you don't know, maybe you want to ask a few questions to see which one is best for your business. So feel free. And that's about our platforms. I'd like to go to the next slide now for a poll. Now, this is more just of a fun activity. It's just one question. When I catch up with accountants during kind of this season, it's always interesting to know kind of what's most challenging for their practice. And my question for you today is, which of the 3 Ps that I've just mentioned are you struggling with most during this tax season? So it's a quick A, B, C, D, E question. And the options are A, people, B, processes, C, platform, D, all, E, none. So if you could all just in the chat, jot down your answer, and at the end, I can give you what the answer is. So that's a little poll, just one question, quick enough, and I can proceed to the next slide. And we can talk about your last minute fix. So outsourcing the leftover tax returns is the closest most accountants ever come to a magic solution for wrapping up the tax season on time. In our experience, not having enough hands on deck has been the single most longstanding factor for why most firms miss filing the returns on deadline. But outsourcing your tax returns is more than just adding manpower to your team. You ensure accuracy and faster turnaround by working with some seasoned qualified accountants. Now, fun fact too, 45% of taxpayers are yet to file their taxes. There are plenty of chances that you'll receive last-minute tax filing requests, and many small businesses might still need your help during these last 2 weeks. With outsourcing, you have immediate support to accommodate these last-minute phone calls, which I'm sure you'll be getting. In addition to this, you can immediately get rid of the cybersecurity platform issues, which I mentioned above. Choosing a GDPR-compliant outsourcing provider will vouch for the data security measures in place while your offshore team processes the returns for you. You can also leverage your outsourcing provider's tax software, client portals, as well as other tools they might have. And most importantly, outsourcing gives you the peace of mind and the time that you need to focus on your clients. The number one reason why most of accountants outsource to us has consistently been the same: to better focus on clients. And that's a little bit about that last minute fix. Let's go to the next slide now. Your 11th hour friend. Here at QX AS, we've been the 11th hour friend to accountants in the UK since 2002. Many of our oldest clients started their partnership by outsourcing that first batch of leftover tax returns, which then flourished into a strong partnership that helped them upscale after discovering the benefits of outsourcing. Some of our biggest success stories are DSK LLP and Six Cats International. As some of you might know, our delivery centers are based in India, and we're headquarters at Skipton. We take a lot of pride in being the first outsourcing firm to be certified GDPR compliant and put cybersecurity above anything else. We are also a SOC 2 compliant company and adhere to the most demanding security protocols. We're technology agnostic, which means that we use the software which works for you and not the other way around. And our goal is to just make it seamless, a seamless experience, and expedite the filing of tax returns for you. Our offshore team smoothly integrates with your existing processes and acts as an extension of your internal team. If anything of what I've just mentioned is of interest to you and you'd like to hear more, I'd love if you would contact QX, myself, or we could reach out to you for a consultation with regards to your needs and possibly provide a free tax return. Basically offer a free trial for you. That's what I meant to say, to see whether that could be something that could work for you as a quick fix, given that there are only 2 more weeks left. And with that said, I would like to move on to the next slide, which is a Q&A. That concludes the presentation, and I'd love to take any questions that anyone might have. Thank you.